stop. That's police.
What's up, Narcs?
What's going on, everybody?
It's time for the Dusty Auspex. Once more, we got a fun sort of mismatched group of hosts today. We've got Fabio with us and Brendan Cressy, local 40K player,
Gaming
big Tom Hanks
enthusiast,
fan.
big Tom Hanks fan, yeah.
Yeah, he wouldn't stop talking about him earlier.
Tom Hanks. He's all about the rust soup.
You got to pump the brakes on all this stuff. Like it's getting to be too much, you know?
Yeah, back it up.
Don't stop something that's good, boys.
He even brought his own volleyball with a face painted on it.
Well said.
His name's Tommy.
It's Geraldine, and actually they've been together for quite some time.
The worst.
What was that movie called? Castaway. I almost said Survivor Man. That's more of a description.
What's that new movie he's in about the newspaper?
Survivor Man. Oh, The Post?
The Post.
The Post.
All right, this just
I
in.
could dig it.
Sounds good. Well,
So
needless to say, there's been a... wait. You
No.
going to say something?
Oh, no,
Okay,
please,
well, there's been
please.
a ton of hubbub going on, what with the LVO wrapping up, and the obviously dramatic final round against Nick and Tony.
Well,
Yeah.
hold on, Dan. Can you refresh me? What does LVO stand for?
Lots of...
Beep.
Las
Vegas Open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big tournament,
Big
one of the
tournament.
biggest. I would say the
I
biggest.
think
the
it is
coolest.
the biggest in
It's
North
definitely
America.
the coolest.
I think it's the biggest in the world right now. It has the most turnout for players. What was it this
Yeah.
year? Almost 500?
Yeah, something like that. For sure over 400. I want to say around 500.
Yeah.
I know there was some plus and minuses with dropouts and stuff like that, but as always.
But they also do, they have an AOS tournament as well, and then they also do
Oh, there's a
their
lot.
There's a
narrative
narrative
league.
event.
And
Narrative.
I think they're doing Infinity as
They also
well.
had,
So the LVO is just not 40K.
Oh, no,
which is-
there's a
Warhammer
lot of
Underworlds as well,
Yeah.
which people call
They
Shadespire,
had,
but that's
they
actually
had,
just
they had
the
Blood
first
Bowl.
set.
They had, and then they do a bunch of painting seminars, bunch of they got shitloads of stuff going on. Like
I saw
the
they actually
place
said too
is
there was
packed.
open gaming. People were just
Yes,
showing up.
yeah,
and
people just
playing
bringing
matches.
like whatever games they
Amazing,
had,
you
and
know,
people
like
would come play with them. Like
Las Vegas high rollers just rolling in there,
gambling away.
betting on the games.
Crazy. But anyway, yeah, let's get
$10,000 as this guy's not wearing deodorant.
So we want to
I'm just a high roller in a 40K world, you know.
must be rough. So yeah, let's
be.
get into the LVO. So obviously there's a lot that's transpired in those last few days. There's been a lot of posting. There's been a lot of back and forth banter on
40K gossip. Man.
There's been a lot of people shitting on the top lists too. Like
Yeah.
people are really upset that basically the same 4 lists, was it? Made it to the top 4?
3 or 4?
3.
Yeah.
There was 3 lists that were very similar, not identical, but
was
nonetheless
like-
3. I call it still Eldar.
They're playing the same meta, the 3. Like,
Yeah, it was
more or
like
less,
take out
more or
one
less.
unit, insert
Yeah,
another
plug,
unit for
insert,
like
yeah.
player preference.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
was Eldar and Yunari
Yep.
as a combo.
Yeah.
Making use of stratagems
So
maybe they don't deserve. Some may say.
Well, we're,
So that's where a lot of the discussion, debate, and arguing, the keyboard warriors come out to play online. But there's been a lot of talk, and you know what? Honestly, if you guys haven't seen, I got to chat with Nick a bit, who won the LVO, and so that's on our
Made
40
the
below page.
beautiful karmic move against his opponent to
that was
win the
great.
game.
It was quite karmatic.
Carmichael?
Carmichael.
Carmichael.
Irregardless,
My son's name is Carmichael.
so
What have you done with my son?
So first, let's talk about the first game. So what basically brought this to light was the game against Alex. Tony and Alex played in the semis, and
was Alex running the guard Space Wolves list?
he was running guard, Space Wolves, and I want to say Blood Angels too, maybe.
Oh, I
thought
think
it
that
was
was the one
just
that had
the
like
Space
the
Wolf.
hammer
Maybe,
tabs.
oh no, it's two Space Wolf detachments and one guard detachment.
Literally, Fenris opened up
Yeah.
their vaults to all the world floors and
So,
told them to go out.
so it's pretty crazy. It was, I think it was quite. I don't know. I don't have an issue with the lists, but that's my opinion.
Well, and we come from a competitive group of players, so like some of us might have some small issues with it, but I totally understand why people are playing these lists, and it's the LVO and there's money on the line, so you're going to take a strong list, as strong as possible. Actually, what impressed me the most was how these lists actually had some flavor and like meat on the bones. It wasn't just like 10 Plague Burst Scrawlers, you know what I mean? Yeah. Which I've been defending online a lot lately, but it wasn't just spam of the exact same thing. Some of them had strange numbered, in my opinion, units of like 7 Dark Eldar warriors, and like.
But that's
when
when it comes to LVO, every point matters. And again, if you look at the article that Nick gave me, every unit, every model, every piece of equipment was calculated for, and there was a reason it was there. So like when we think, oh my God, this is such a stupid list. Well, maybe to us it is, but when you're playing for those top spots, that kind of stuff actually does matter.
Oh yeah, and if you consider like splinter weapons versus shuriken, there are bonuses to taking things that might seem a little weird at first, but
Well, I think one thing we should cover is, in case people didn't know, I'm sure a lot of people do, but what the controversy was, is the guy was playing Space Wolf and Guard. He proceeded to drop
strike.
in
Yep.
some
Yeah, he started his deep strike.
Tempestus Scions or something of that sort, and his opponent helped him measure it out and put the models down, and then they stopped. And he's like, okay, and he's going back to do his regular movement. He's like, oh, you're done because deep striking's not at the end of the turn.
That's
and
what
that's what really set a lot of people off, because it was just like, it was one of those things, because they talked about playing fast apparently. I don't recall. I didn't watch the
There was a
full
bunch
thing.
of little issues, and one of them was that I guess in this beginning, Tony is known to play a little slower. I guess
he took an hour for his first turn.
Yeah, I heard he took an hour for a game of 8th edition. Is
that's way too
pretty intense.
So are we on the screen now? Is this the okay? So what you guys are? No, this is not. That's the wrong game. That's the final game.
That's
You're
the
looking at the
final
finals.
Look at the first one up here.
Yeah, there you go. Boom. So yeah, what you're seeing is you're.
He's helping him measure. This is what kills me, is he goes up and proactively helps him measure to keep the illusion up that he's not making a mistake.
To hurry up the process and help
and like when you go in there and help the guy
quicker.
measure, he doesn't even think, oh, maybe I should double think this or double check what I'm doing.
Yeah.
He's just going, oh, great, yeah, okay, well, let's get it in there. The other guy's not making it obvious that he's about to totally screw over the guy's turn.
I'll bite and be the devil's advocate here. So as the opponent, as Tony, if that's what Alex wants to do in this moment, who am I to say, oh, you haven't moved things, do you want to do that? Or do you want to do this? Or do you want to do this first?
No,
or
that's
you forgot
true. No,
that,
he doesn't
you know
have
what I
to
mean?
prompt him, but I wouldn't, knowing that he's making an error, I wouldn't further push the person into it. I think that's what makes you
that's a
an
I don't think,
unscrupulous
I don't
player.
know. I mean, I watched it and I didn't think he was trying to force him to do anything. He was just simply helping.
didn't force him.
Speed had become an issue at this point, so now everyone, I think, had mutually agreed that helping measure was going to be a thing.
He strengthened the illusion of the
Just
error.
to play
though.
back on that though, speed has become an issue, but that is because I think it was Tony, had taken an hour for his first turn.
And from what I understand, he was heckling well, not heckling, people are saying heckling, but he was telling the other player to play faster as a result of his 1 hour first turn. So that's where I think on some level, there was a deliberate effort to make the guy make a psychological error. Where he slow played the first turn,
like a true
then he
Eldar.
pressured the guy to play faster, then he even helped him make the mistake that he made. You know what I mean?
I mean,
That's a lot of that's all
we don't know what,
hypotheticals. We don't know what's going
we don't
on.
know. Yeah, we don't know
we
what's
can
going through
speculate.
their
That's
Exactly.
I mean, like he might have just been okay. I'm gonna quickly deep strike these guys in. I'm gonna do my movement phase quickly because we got to catch up. Like how long do they have? 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. Yeah,
yeah,
2.5
to get
hours.
through a game. When your opponent takes an hour to do your first turn, like for a 6-turn game, because ITC missions go 6 turns
and, like,
then they end.
your
He's
time
like,
left
he's
is-
like, holy crap, I got to get this stuff going. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna deep strike in. They're gonna move my stuff and whatnot. So it's one of those hard things. Like, yes, rules is written.
I think-
I definitely see like
This is
and
what it
another
reminds
big
me of.
problem is like you're in the top tables, and you have these guys like they're going for the big money, and like you actually get money off these tournaments and prestige and being recognized as one of the best.
I think
40
the issue
players
there
out
though is
but it's just
if that's what he wanted to do and he knew that he was going to go out of sequence,
he should
then he just said, "I'm going to throw these guys on the table. It's not going to impact where my other movement is, but it's just to get things."
That's why I think it was an
Exactly.
error. That's why he didn't mention it, and I think also too like this is the first 8th edition LVO, is it not?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So people are used to deep striking at the top of their turn before anything's even moved. And so
Yep.
I've made the mistake. I even made that mistake in Brandon. And I
Yeah.
went, oh shit, I put the Death Company down. And then our opponents, luckily, Mark, said, it's okay. You know, he gave us some gears over it later on, but it wasn't like he was mad or anything like that. It reminds me, though, of in Magic cards, way back in the day, there was a card called Wild Mongrel in the Odyssey block, and in competitive play, what it did is you discard a card, and you may give it +1/+1, and you may change its color. But because the color came second, players who were competitive and pricks, like nobody liked the guys that did this, you'd say discard a card to Wild Mongrel. They'd say, what color are you going to make? And you go, black. You go, okay, so he doesn't get +1/+1 then. And you're like, why? And he says, well, you didn't say it in the right order, and you didn't even declare it. And that's the exact same thing being played out in 40K here. He's just going, well, you didn't declare it. It's like, man, it's the functionality. No one goes out and plays a game of 40K with no intention of moving on their first turn.
I will actually.
guard.
He plays guard. It's totally,
Everybody stay where they are.
Like
Kill
the
anything
Eldar
that
player
moves.
is like,
okay, but listen.
nobody do anything.
Okay, I'll bite and be the devil's advocate because it seems like we're all kind of in the same agreement here. The rules are written for a reason, and a tournament of this magnitude, you should be expecting people, especially at the top tables, to know the rules and especially the order of operations.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
as an outsider looking in, I feel for both sides for sure. But you know, just to be the guy that keeps the kind of conversation going here a little bit, like, why is Tony wrong? Ethically,
maybe he's not wrong,
but he's
like,
not
no,
wrong.
He hasn't
not
broken
wrong.
the law.
And I mean, at
40K,
the end of the day,
you know what I mean?
a rule book is in place for a reason. It's
Yeah.
no different than any professional sport. It doesn't matter what the stage is. The
I think-
rules have to stay
I think
consistent.
the reason people are so upset is because 40K has always been like a gentleman's game in that like
Well, it's supposed
you
to be
agree to
that
certain
beer and
principles at the
pretzel
start,
game.
But-
right?
but the
and they
o-
agreed to have an intent-based game where it wasn't going to be.
I actually
more
heard that
technicalities.
the intent part of that game was not to do with this scenario.
Oh, maybe I'm confusing Tony Nick's game.
No,
because I know that there was a ton of talk about playing with intent.
There was a lot of playing with intent, but that was in the first game. That was with Alex and Tony, and even that, like, I can't remember exactly, but Reese was talking about it yesterday on the Frontline podcast, and they were, and they said the intent, that whole discussion with the intent had nothing to do with this. I don't know, I can't remember verbatim what it was, but I don't.
Well, there's definitely rumors swirling around. Lord knows when you have thousands of people online on Facebook, just
gets
crying
pretty-
their eyes
gets
out.
pretty
Well,
nutty.
there's some people who get pretty salty towards competitive play, so they might look at this and be like, "See, this is why you don't go to tournaments because people will pull
Yeah.
this on you." And I'm gonna be like,
At the end of the day,
that,
you know,
that's just an argument. I've been to countless tournaments. I've never had somebody do that. Like, for the most part, like, people at tournaments are like, "Oh, that's
They're
fine."
pretty relaxed, and I mean,
They're pretty
especially when
relaxed.
it's like your middle tables, or even you're not going to the top tables. Yeah, I can see it being a lot more laid back, and that beer and pretzels aspect is still very much a thing. But when it gets to those top tables, I mean, you can't. It's hard to scrutinize the guys that play by the letter of the law. Like that's what they've been training to do. That's what they've practiced their ass off to. The hours they put into tweaking those lists. You know what I mean? Like there is a lot there. There's a lot of work that's involved, and I don't know. I can definitely I feel both ways. Like I'm really conflicted.
This is what's interesting is when you take it to the game between Nick and Tony.
Yeah, let's go.
He uses the same thing on Tony that Tony used on Alex.
Yep.
And this is what's interesting is Tony goes, well, I tries to keep fighting for it, and it's like, you know what though?
He's like,
I said I this exact same thing, and he even mentioned that.
I think he said like I was planning to use it, or I said I was going to, but he didn't do it when he advanced
in the proper
in the proper order. So again, like at most levels, people would have been like, oh, that's fine, like you can still do it, but. One of the big things that he says is like, well, you screwed my buddy over there with the deep strike.
He made it very clear.
He made it very clear. Like I think he made it clear that I would not
morally
have done
he
this,
doesn't want to do this, but
it's like you screwed my friend over by trying to do that rules trickery. So I'm gonna hit you back.
And it's funny because if you I watched that video again, and if it was, and Nick kind of did the same thing though. He was helping measure that unit, right? Like he was bringing it into position and helping.
I think at that point Nick was like. Really hoping that Tony would do an equal fuck up like the one that.
So I think we've got the video going, so you can kind of see what's happening.
Vengeance for Kadia.
So while you're watching,
now he wants to charge with Shining Spears.
Shining Spears into the back of all those. I think it's like Warlock, a Farseer. There's something he calls the Catch or something.
It's supposed to be
Cat
the
Lady.
Cat Lady. It's a Yanari warlord.
It's Yvrain, the lady with the booty and the kitty.
Yeah, the booty and the kitty. And that
what a time to be alive.
Weird headdress thing.
Doesn't she have a fan, like a Japanese
I think so.
fan?
She does.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was
good abilities.
Nice. So yeah, it was that like you can even see the chat just blows up when it happens. Like it was.
People are like, "Oh, karma, justice."
It was, the karma was very real.
Well, and I think that's largely in part to the fact that, how I mentioned 40K is a gentleman's game. It's also very casual. I would say the most of its player base is casual.
Yeah.
Like
I'd
absolutely. Say probably 90% of its player base is casual. People who just play at home or just collect the models, and they hate seeing shit like this. They would never want to picture themselves dealing with that scenario. So
because it kind of tarnishes 40K too. It's
like, it puts a bad light on it for sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, you got to remember it's
competitive play.
It's competitive
That's
play.
That's why I say I don't like it.
You can't.
I think Tony is not a player that I would likely want to play against in a competitive game, but I gotta respect the fact it's competitive play. So I'm not gonna say that he's a shithead and he should go quit 40K.
Yeah.
But I just would probably not personally want to play against the guy. I do say though, nothing should be retracted. I heard there was talk about like, ooh, they're gonna talk about taking back the move or whatever, and I was like, just play it out. Like this is what happened. It's
at those top tables, Tony did try and play it out a bit, but you can see like those lists are so fine-tuned to be the hammer and not the anvil.
Yeah, no,
so you can't. If you make that mistake, once you've made that mistake, it's done. Like even Alex, Alex knew that once.
I meant like don't reverse the decision. Like they said they were going to talk to the judges and shit about it.
Nah, man, you got
It's
to
said and done. It's history.
Yeah.
Like you know what, you can't.
If very least we learn, everybody learns from it, right? It's used as a good example.
It's an 8th edition mistake made in the very first 8th edition LVO.
Yeah. Well, not to let's just think about long term. Maybe next year when people show up, they'll
think twice about being that way.
Twice,
you know what I mean?
Twice. They'll just be like, more kind towards. I think another thing that turned people off is just the way it was handled. Like when the guys would do it, and then after that, like, okay, you're done because you messed up there, and it was just like the way that it was handled. It could have been one of those things like, who knows? It's just, of course, there's always like wording and the way things are intended to say. Like he might not have intended to be rude, but just the way it came across was, and then people can get uppity about that.
I think also too, like by definition, it's a bit of a dick move. Like even if you were nice about it, like the best part is like I shared that video in our chat.
It puts him in a hard spot because it's the top 4, and it's just he's just kind of sitting there, and he's just like, okay, well my opponent made like a hasty tactical decision, and just I can capitalize on this because this was their big mistake. And I mean, this is the biggest tournament in 40K.
Yeah,
arguably like money on the line.
Money on the line. How do you turn that down? And at the end of the day, if like say, Tony's like, you messed up here, I'm going to allow you to go back, and then Tony loses the game.
Yeah.
Would
Alex
lost
like a gentleman?
Would All hypothetical. And you know what? Honestly, I want to talk about how much of a good guy Alex is, and I don't know the guy, but just from what I've heard. But would the winner have given Tony some of the money, being like, "Hey, man, you took the gentleman aspect versus the competitive aspect,
That's
and it
very
cost
true.
you the game"? Would the winner give him money? You know what I mean? Like, would if the roles were reversed, would something different? You know what I mean? Like, none of that would have happened. It all would have been.
I think the only way I'd give money to the guy is if I were insane.
Well, exactly. That's what I mean, right? So even if he did something morally right and everyone commended him at that moment,
Yeah.
that's it. It's just that moment, and it just and everything's quiet.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So I mean, I don't know. Looking at both ways, there's a lot of stuff. But anyway, I actually, in lieu of all this negativity, Alex actually got a big shout out from producer Josh. What was the company?
Oh, League of Legends.
League of
Yeah.
Legends. So he got a big shout out. He was actually offered $5,000
In a
in a
sportsmanship,
sportsmanship award, which was crazy. So a lot of people thought it was fake. Reese confirmed yesterday on their show that it was actually a thing. He got the $5,000, and Alex actually donated to, I think, children's hospital, I believe.
Ugh.
All $5,000 where his wife works. So, like, for those of you who didn't know,
Clearly not a teacher, Dan.
this guy is like just literally
that's
putting
top-notch.
everybody to shame right
He's
now. You know
literally
what I mean?
got hands made of butter.
I thought
$5,000 slip right out of them.
and that's Dan.
I mean, it's a nice thing to do.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it's just you gotta
commend
commend the
him for that,
guy,
'cause it's
right?
like
Like, it's just
Yeah,
you know,
somebody's-
millionaires also donate money for tax breaks, so I'll let them do that.
okay. So let's move on to the next point. So the next thing, a lot of people, another big point that was of contention on the net was implementing a sportsmanship and a painting component
God,
to the.
yeah.
Well, hang on. So first, a painting component to the actual LVO as a whole.
The
Now,
general score?
The general score. So the first thing I want to point out is, I know there's a lot of contention and controversy over the aesthetics of the top tables. But let's not confuse that with the actual conflicts on the top tables in terms of a competitive and a generalship view. Like, these things are totally separate, and
Yes.
there is a painting score. There is a painting aspect to LVO.
But
It is
separate.
separate. It is separate, and it doesn't have nothing to do with overall. Right now, LVO, I think, best overall is really the best general.
Someone actually made a really good argument online about this. And they said if you entered an army hoping to win Best Painted, you would hope to Christ that your score wouldn't affect that in the games that you played. So
Absolutely.
why
So-
would your paint affect your best general score?
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's
And somebody could definitely argue vice versa. It's like, why should my painting
not to mention.
Like, you
affect
clearly
how
have the
good of a
nicest
general I
army,
am?
but you suck at playing the game,
Not
so
to,
you can't win.
Yeah, so not to mention sportsmanship and painting are also very subjective.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? There's
Exactly. We got to split them up.
Yeah.
First of all, sportsmanship, it can be one of those things where it's very touch and go, because I've had games where I've played guys that they might have beaten on me, stomped me, crushed me.
You know, the trick
Whatever
is
it was, or I could have done it to them. And sometimes your scores influence that, and it's hard to, in the heat of the moment, you're like, this guy was really good. I just had crap dice, and he had a great dice. And it's like nothing you can do about it, because we're still playing with a D6 dice, and it's just.
You know what you gotta do is you gotta go full Las Vegas. They say there's no sportsmanship angle. You just take total advantage of that. You bring like a portable boombox with sounds of people dying on it. And you put in the earbuds, listen to some music, and just shout your dice rolls at them for your turn.
Like that online
coming
noise.
in
go
hot.
right
Or
out.
what's that movie? It's like, make it rain. Whatever, the guy that couldn't hit the basket. I don't know.
Or
Whatever.
like a high-pitched frequency.
Yeah.
You just plop it on the table and then
Like the
put some
chick from the
pot in.
grunge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely think
Anyways.
there's merit to sportsmanship and painting components in the LVO. I think something like a best overall that
Yes.
actually incorporates all three is something that would be actually quite advantageous at the LVO.
Yeah.
But I do still think that the generalship should be purely based
Yeah.
on your performance on the table in the moment.
That said, bring the models and some glue to fix them when they break,
Yeah.
and paint and base them.
So like there was
even
a
if
few
it's
there's,
not
yeah, there was a
amazing.
few things that I wasn't too happy with. I don't know if you guys watched the whole all the streams, but yeah, like there was bases without models at some points. There were broken models. There were vehicles that didn't have their tops on them and stuff, and they're saying, well, because they keep falling off and all this stuff.
Even in Las Vegas, the tanks go topless.
Oh my god. Just one thing I want to raise though.
He's a
and I
comedian
guess-
in real life.
Yeah, he is. One thing that I want to talk about is maybe the day before you get there, just double check your models before the event starts to see that they're okay. I've always done that before a tournament if
Yeah,
I've
I've never-
traveled.
And bring
I
your
just
glue.
open my stuff up and check it out. Oh, everything's in one piece. Yeah, bring glue. You trying to tell me of those like 500 players alone in the LVO, not a single person had glue that they could find?
Now, to be fair, they're on the strip, so there's no Walmart casino yet. But eventually, they'll be able to go get glue one day.
It's
when
legit.
they need
Walmart's
it
the
on
American
strip.
meeting place.
But there's tons of places you can get super glue in Las Vegas. Like,
Well, not even
But-
that. Like, I'm sure somebody brought some.
But
Not-
even what we're looking at here is we're looking at a small sample size, right? There was only 5 games shown,
Yeah.
and they're all usually top tables at that for that round. So, in all likelihood, most of those armies, yeah, they're not going to be the best looking, but I guarantee you when they drop all their pictures from the event, there will be some phenomenal stuff. Because I was there 2 years ago. I was supposed to be there this year, I didn't. But 2 years ago I was there, and I kid you not, the beautiful armies vastly outweighed the few unfortunates. I mean, and I had to play against one that was like proxies galore, and I'm not one to get salty over anything. I got my ass kicked, and it had nothing to do with that. But what I was looking at, I couldn't even take pictures of the game. You know what I mean? Like, it was that bad. It was just like, there was like little toys from like Toys R Us unpackaged and dropped on the table as counts as.
That's incredibly
And even
stupid.
talking to Nick and stuff, like, he even said, like, he's all for proxying while you're learning and play testing and all this kind of stuff. But as soon as you get to, like, the game, you should have the right models.
Yeah.
Or you should have proper representation, whether it be, proper base size, height, proper gun loadouts, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when the opponent looks at your army, it is not a constant guessing game.
Yeah, they shouldn't have to figure out what your models
No,
are
it
each
should
time
be-
they look
it
at
should
it. Be
be
like,
clear.
sorry, what is that again, or what does that do? Like I saw
Even the
back
guy.
in-
Yeah,
I was just
sorry,
saying,
go
you had a tournament that you went to where someone had ducks, right?
Yeah, that
Oh,
that
wow.
definitely got people worked up. Some guys one of the guys was rocking little rubber duckies as razor wing flocks, and I know a lot of people got offended. I did end up playing the player that brought the ducks, and I know a lot of people were getting worked up about it because we spend lots of time, lots of effort to get some people
Money.
Well, yeah.
to paint up our armies and get them looking
Not
nice
even
for
just
the
paint
table.
up though. Keep in mind, like,
Yeah.
what's showing up. You have to. I think this is when you were down the States, weren't
Grand
you?
Forks, yeah.
Right. So you have to drive.
So we drove down, and it's just like
Drive
he's
through
using the
board
rubber.
food, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
it was like rubber duckies, and all he did was use paint to show what squad was which, and it's just kind of like,
Such
see,
bullshit.
I get
Duck
that
Squad
he's
won,
one of the
Duck
local. I get he's one of the local guys, and he was one of the friends of the guys that were running the tournaments. But I mean, if you're trying to run a legitimate ITC tournament and people are showing up with that,
That's wrong.
It definitely rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I looked at it and I was just like, oh man, I
So would
can't
you go
believe they
back?
actually did that. Would I go back?
Overall, how was your experience?
My experience was pretty good. I
Okay.
mean, they're definitely a growing tournament. Working towards things. Their meta is very different than to what ours is. So it's just something you have to adjust. It's nothing bad or wrong. Like I actually did really well the time I went. Out of the 50 or so players that were there, I think I got 8th overall with a pure IG list. This was at the very beginning of 8th though with Index. But it was a lot of fun. I would go back with the guys. Honestly, my favorite part about tournaments is fastly becoming the drive down and just shooting the shit. I enjoy the games, don't get me wrong, but it's honestly like those weekends with the guys, we
For
are
the boys.
laughing.
Sitting in a car with a bunch of stinkers. You know?
I know you think it would suck, but with like the amount of jokes that are cracked
Oh man.
are
Speaking
just
about
like
cracks.
you laugh so hard. No.
One last thing about LVO before we move on. Did you guys
Okay.
notice that none of the top lists were featuring Forge World stuff?
I can dig it.
Forge World has not been updating the rules. Forge World is very out of date and out of touch with 8th.
And Chapter
Yeah,
Approved
they've always
kind of
been
like
a little
all the
out of
good,
touch, but
well,
now
Chapter
they're like
Approved
especially.
took all the good Forge World stuff and basically said,
Sandbag
cost
it.
a ton of
Well,
points.
Exact it up,
basically,
and they're
there's
like, here you go.
yeah, and then when you're
There's no
exactly
point.
when
But
every,
everyone was like, ooh, Fire Raptors. There's so many Fire Raptors at LVO. None of them made it.
Yeah.
None of them.
None did
Not
well.
even one.
I don't know why everyone's. I know they have a lot of firepower, but everything dies so fast. this edition,
Exactly.
And the Fire Raptors would just be what, a -1
Does it
to
have
hit?
feel no pain? Does it have an invol? Like,
Ultimately,
just
what would
hammer it.
ultimately-
Or assault it with.
Oh, you guys are
like-
rookies. Ignore it. Don't even bother with it.
Well, yeah,
You know
just
what, Kate?
kill everything on the ground
Kill everything on
because
the
then
ground.
Blood
you
Angel,
automatically
Hammer
win the
Captain,
game.
Blood Angel, Hammer
No, you don't.
Captain,
That
roll
doesn't
in there
happen.
with 5
Oh, they
attacks.
got rid of that? Okay.
You can probably do like 16 wounds to it
Yeah,
immediately.
you might want to eliminate that firepower.
You can, like,
but just
one
break
shot
down
the
its
thing.
threshold. The one thing I want to say about the painting, though, is like, please, when people go to tournaments, have like at least a 3-color minimum. I mean, we've seen some tournaments where guys are just like, 3-color minimum is just like, yellow, red, black, done, and they're just doing lines on their guys. Like, look, 3 colors.
That's
Guys,
gonna happen.
that's gonna happen.
But actually, and Reese, again, I keep going back to the show yesterday, and they did not allow someone to participate in the LVO because they came with plastic models with no color on them.
and I've seen that. I've
So,
seen that at a tournament.
If you're gonna put that
times.
as a rule, I commend them, especially on that big of a stage, to not allow them to participate.
Yeah.
And honestly, again, you gotta put in your rules and you gotta stand by your rules. Like
Absolutely.
Steve said, you gotta have a guide, paint guide, what you expect in terms of conversions. What in terms. Yeah, he said it on Facebook. If you're in the Twitch chat, it's in the Facebook chat. But yeah, just as a TO, just redundancy is so important. And if you're gonna take the time to do it, you gotta stand behind it. You gotta let people know, like, hey, this is what we expect, because ultimately you have sponsors, you have other people from out of town. There's pictures going online. You don't want the negative shit. So from
Which
a
is
TO
what they're getting right now.
and they're
because
getting
of
and they're
this.
getting a little bit of flack. But you know what? Ultimately, if you talk to most people that go to the LVO or any big tournament, I would say honestly, 95% of the people that went had a fucking bomb time.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'd
yeah,
actually love to hit up
you
the
get all the
LVO
keyboard,
before I
you get all the
get a
keyboard
teaching
warriors
assistant.
and the few people that are just so butthurt over little things and try and make a big stink, and they will. And you know what? A lot of people feed off that, but in the grand scheme of things, I think for the most part, as someone that's gone, I had a bad experience in one of my games, but that did not deter me from the tournament or the event as a whole, because there's so much. The wow factor is off the charts.
So
So
in Vegas
and
for
you know
the
what?
weekend.
and you're in
right?
Vegas for the weekend, yeah. Well, we were there for 5 days, man. 5 days in Vegas is too long.
It's a long
I just
time.
want to segue though off of that. Never judge a tournament just because on the players that it brings in. You know what?
Yeah,
There's
no doubt.
guys that you play in a casual game that can be knobs just the same as a guy that you play in a competitive game.
Yeah.
I've gone to tournaments and I've played against guys that have brought competitive lists. They're really nice guys. They're not like, they're enjoyable. You're like, hey, I would definitely play you again in the future.
Their lists
You'll
are tough,
always, yeah, lists are tough, but it's like, again, it's a tournament.
tournament.
And what's wrong with thinking when you play your game? It's like, holy crap, I actually got to use my brain to do tactics right now. I can't just point
that's
and
not
click.
fair.
You know what I
That's
really
not
liked
fair.
was the Pure Blood Angels list that made it.
Yeah,
It was like
props to the Pure
5
Blood
squads
Angels.
of intercessors.
See, I kept
and
hearing
like,
from people, it's like, oh, this Pure Blood Angels list, but it has guard in it. And I was like, really? And we were looking at the list before I came in here, and it was legit. Just
No, there is a
all
Pure Blood
Angels.
Angels
All
list,
Blood
yeah.
Angels.
And I was like, way to go, buddy. I
Yeah,
mean, and see,
it's-
that's the thing. People are all like, soup this, soup that, soup sucks. It's just like,
Was
or,
it
you know,
20,
it's not sucks in terms of performance. It sucks that people have to do it, but it's like,
25% of the top 8 were not soup lists.
yeah, like you could still do good
I don't
with
know,
pure
whatever.
codexes.
I'd call that a-
and they were all 40k products, like GW products, which is crazy.
Yeah, no Forge World, which is actually really nice.
You don't need
'cause-
the unbalanced Forge World models to get.
Like in
Yeah.
7th edition, when people were bringing that Renegades, because everything was so damn
Oh,
cheap.
God,
Nobody
yeah.
really played it in our community. So could you imagine going to a tournament? And
I played it. I played it. I played it. I played
Paulie
it.
played it for a
I
bit.
played it in 06 at the event. I think I actually played one of the guys from that are with Frontline Gaming. I think I actually played Jason. I think I played Jason in like the 4th round, so the first round on day 2, and he
Yeah.
had a Renegade list, and I was running all Wraiths. And let me
that
tell you,
list.
that was a grind. Like, that was a crazy game. But it was good. Like, I actually didn't mind it, but yeah, I don't know. So we're still on tournaments. Obviously, big tournaments are a big hot topic right now. So there's a few items I want to talk about that have been online. Again, more complaints and stuff, and I just kind of want to get your opinions, maybe get some opinions from the chat. So if there's people tuning in and have opinions on it. So the first thing I want to talk about is soup. This definition of lists that basically aren't out of like, what is the definition here? Like, what? Okay, so
Well, and I
so
think
let's ask
soup,
one at a
I
time.
think
Brendan, what?
borscht, I think chicken noodle, cream
I'm
of
thinking
mushroom,
Tom Hanks.
Tom
In a
Hanks.
FedEx plane.
All right, so
that
anybody in the
crashes.
chat,
shooting a pistol
okay,
at
no,
a tank.
in all seriousness, guys,
Anything's
come on.
possible in it.
Soup. Let's talk about it. Thoughts, opinions?
I played against a decent one that Steve had the other day. which was the Admech, Blood Angels, and Astra Militarum. Didn't do too bad. Played against my Death Guard. Death Guard are very hard to kill, regardless. But
so what do you think about people complaining about soup lists?
I think the people who complain about it are usually players who played this game a long time ago. You know what I mean?
Or
People who
they
came
like
from
just
third
pure
to fifth.
Codex armies.
Yeah, where like you could take an allied detachment, but that was it. You know, like the way that soup works now. I mean, it's all keyword based, right? So like you can just pretty much go across the board. Like we saw Eldari soup winning essentially the tournament, but like Imperial soup is strong. Chaos soup is strong. I think we're waiting for other books to come out to see what other kind of soup is going to exist.
But the definition of soup, like, so is soup to you guys? Is it if it's out of multiple books, it's soup? Is it if it's like Ultramarines?
I think
Imperial
soup is
Fists.
seen as something where you have an army that doesn't use one cohesive set of rules only.
Like, so one codex. It would be like using...
Well, not quite. Like, because you could do Marine soup with the Marine book.
That's true.
With different chapters.
Right, and then you could use
'Cause they're
chaos
different
out of the
rules,
chaos
right?
book, right? With different gods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think it boils down to how different are the rules for the units.
So what's the issue? Like, are we saying that, like, I guess the big thing that I'm trying to understand online is what's the issue? Like, it's still thematic. Like, you're still more in theme than the Taudar of 7th or the, you know what I mean? Or the Nids and Eldar and stuff like that. Like,
Orcs and Tau could work. Hire the orcs as mercenaries from the...
Yeah, well, there
listen,
were guys who
but
used to take
that's the other part of
riptide
this.
wings.
Before we keep going, this is a game of make-believe.
Yeah.
Everything is fictional. So, like,
So
I mean,
whenever
so
people
there's
get
no
angry
such
about
thing
the
as a
fluff,
wizard.
it's like this is like...
fluff is the bullshit word. Let's not use that
Okay,
word.
when we're using background of 40k...
Lore.
Lore, that's
lore,
okay. I like that. I
It's
can
like,
live
it's
with
all
lore.
just drafted up by some guys. And look at how much they're changing it now. Like, Cadia lore with
constantly
Abaddon
changing
failing
it,
the
so.
13th Black Crusade. It's like, literally, that was established for over, like, a decade. And then this, or last year, they changed it where it was like, okay, so that actual campaign that we did so many years back was just a precursor. He was hiding most of his ships in space.
I
So
gotta
here's
be
the
honest,
real
I have no
deal.
idea what he's talking
about.
And it's
We
just
lied.
like, I read it because I bought the book, and I was just like, damn.
Brendan can read, which
But-
is very impressive. We're
Teacher
mostly
right here.
illiterate.
So
Thank God I can read.
Marin on the Facebook chat saying it's literally about I lost this thing.
Wah, wah.
It's chapters. It's purely based on chapters.
Yeah.
Okay, we got here. Sean, Imperium Soup has been a long time
This is when
coming.
you're using more than
2 books.
Two
more
books?
than two. More than two. Or do
I
you
just
mean
want
if
to
you're using two or
want
more?
to say something about soup quickly. About
Two
soup
more?
lists.
Okay.
Is this edition, guys? It is all faction based, right? So it makes sense that Imperium shit's fighting alongside Imperium stuff. So we're there.
And if I want, I
but
can take a demon in my chaos thing.
Yeah,
you know?
it
like,
makes
Yeah, like,
sense.
what's the-
7th edition, you had, I remember seeing a guy's list was Khorne Demonkin with the Tau Riptide Wing.
yeah.
What is that? It's obviously abusing the
I
Riptide
just
Wing.
can't stand
along
next
with
to
that.
each other.
Obviously, it's for the
That's
greater
all.
good.
You played a guy who brought Eldar, Tyranids, and then he was summoning demons with his Eldar.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
like,
That was
in
lovely.
the background, Eldar like despise the demons
or
and then
juices
summoning
also-
them.
So
Ultramarines.
yeah,
Summoning demons.
Brendan, well, you played at PAL last year. You played
Yeah.
top table. You played a guy that was Space Wolves, Guard, and something else, and he was summoning
he had
demons.
Cypher. So he had Space Wolves, he had Guard, and he had Cypher from the Dark Angels for all, like, this big unit.
yeah.
812 points on this one unit. And I was like, okay, like, he was just casting all these buffing powers, like Guardsmen became nigh unkillable. And then, to top it all off, as our game progressed, and I was actually killing stuff, reducing his list down, Tigurius was like, you know what? We can't afford to lose this combat, guys. We're going to summon in some pink horrors. Just because.
Those pink
this was
horrors,
7th
though.
edition, and I was just like, what's the point of targeting these things? Like, I give a guy more warp charge dice. He's going to have more units to cover the board. And it was just like, it was the most absurd thing ever. It was just like, Tigurius was like, you know what? I don't feel like losing today, so I'm going to betray the
Yeah,
Emperor
so, I
and
mean-
start summoning chaos.
With this whole thing about soup, I think we have to look at what's the worst of the two evils. Soup and things like you know, there's no Death Stars, there's no Super Friends, there's no
Nothing's
every-
unkillable
nothing's
anymore.
unkillable exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
That was a
so
huge
You just
problem.
need to
ultimately,
bring
what-
the tools to
yeah,
kill things.
I mean, everything is rock
what
paper
people do
scissors
with
still, guys.
soup,
Like
yeah.
like things either you sometimes win, you sometimes lose. Like sometimes you come up against stuff that you're outmatched, like outgunned, or outmaneuvered. It happens. But I think to complain and generalize soup is why did I just join the chat? I'm definitely someone's on my computer. But yeah, so I don't know. I think the whole soup topic online is pretty interesting.
Should we cover the stratagem aspect though? Because I know a lot of people are
we should touch on that.
towards
I was going to say
the
before
fact that
we
the
leave
Ynnari were using craft world stratagems, and people are like, that's not right. They shouldn't be able to do that. Because I think people were saying like there's not other
Ynnari is supposed
armies
to
that
take you
can do
outside
that.
of Craft Worlds.
Yeah, Ynnari is supposed to take
Frankly.
you outside of Craft Worlds. Because I thought in the background, those Eldar that went over kind of like left their Craft World and joined whatever her face is there, the cat lady.
Mm-hmm.
And basically they
Brain.
follow her as their own separate faction of Eldar. That's why you get the Dark Eldar, you get the Harlequins, and you get the regular Eldar, and some Corsairs, like all mixed together. So I think people were getting a little testy because he was utilizing stratagems to gain additional benefits, like on his Dark Reapers or something.
Yeah.
Like he was doing the Soul Burst power, so they got to shoot
And
out
then
of
move
turn,
and stuff.
and then they got to shoot again in the shooting phase, and then they might have been using some stuff.
But again, it's all within the rules that have been given to them, right?
Exactly.
So, as much as some things may not make sense, or we may not agree with things.
Well, see,
I personally
what I heard
think
is that
it's
it wasn't clear. Like that's what I heard, is it wasn't really clear whether they could or could not use them, and it hasn't been FAQ'd or brought up by GW. The same thing with we talked about the other day about Imperial Guard relic, where it doesn't say one use only,
Oh, the
but you
Cadia one or
reveal
whatever?
it at the beginning of your
Yeah.
turn, and it's like you get to reroll once to hit and to
What is it
unless you're
called?
playing
Like
Chaos.
Pride of Cadia? Or like,
Something like that. Or unless you're playing Chaos, then you basically have a little Gilliman character running
Yeah.
around. And it's one of those
There's
things
a lot
that
of
hasn't been
chaos right
cleared up, and it can be interpreted
On and off the
kind of both ways. Of course, if you go for the full rerolls all the time, people think you're a dick player, and you you end up getting hit with a metal dreadnought in a sock while you're sleeping. Some Full Metal
Awesome.
Jacket style.
Awesome.
oh, yeah.
And then I guess so. The next point came with the soup and tournaments. A lot of talk about dropping the points.
Ooh,
Yeah.
A lot of games I heard didn't get past turn 4, turn 5. So there was really no natural.
edition
It's
games?
8th was supposed to be faster, but you know
It's
what?
not. It really is not.
It's getting confusing. I shouldn't say that. It's getting more confusing. We as players, as competitive players, build lists. They can go very complex still. You can go very simple and very quick, or you can go the other way. So I think when it comes to tournament play, maybe 2K is.
I think it's too much. It's too much because in 7th, it was 1850, and there was a much lower volume of shots and dice rolling. This
That was
game, the dice
small
rolling is
start,
just
yeah.
crazy. Like, sometimes you have squads that are like 120 attacks, and I'm like, you're actually going to roll those? Like, this is going to take forever.
I'll just pull off my bottles.
You have 4 units of this? Like, oh, good.
That's why you got to kill them quickly.
You know,
Yeah.
So that way they don't get to
gazillion-
roll all their dice.
Gazillion
Tactic.
minute shooting phases where you're just like shoot with all of my everything, and then also
Are you
like
judging me?
you're adding lightly, but now you're also adding you're adding damage rolls in too. So it used to just be hit, wound, save. Now it's hit, wound, save, damage. Sometimes a feel no pain or two.
Sometimes,
You know,
and sometimes
So
why?
It's added an extra dice roll to every single motion.
But you know what I think might reduce this though is over time because the codexes are coming out just like that, right?
Yeah.
And people are still kind
Still
of
learning.
learning them.
Yeah.
Just how quickly they're dropped. And it's like not people that are going to LVO might not play like twice or 3 times a week to really familiarize themselves. So they're like, oh crap, let me go back. I gotta double check this stratagem. When can I activate it? Or it's like, what does this unit do again? Or it's like you got so many new things like the intercessors, the primaries. I don't know. Like I don't use them, but if I was to start using them, I'd have to look back and be like, just gotta double check to make sure I know like exactly what's going on with these guys. It would just be like basic stuff like that takes time. It adds up at the end of the day. So I think maybe as time goes on, people will be able to go. Like I've played.
So do you think right now it's a personal problem versus the point?
I think it definitely can be. Like, I mean, I've always brought up that I've played Guard since I was, since I started the hobby, and I played
basically
lots of
since the
models.
Black Templar
It's a young
started.
trap lord.
I was like 10, 11, I think, when I started. So, anyways, it's like you always had a lot of models with Guard, but it's just like you learn how to
think
move
by now
them
his painting
quickly.
would be better on them.
So,
Hey, I'm painting some of those.
Sorry, continue.
Anyways, it was just one of those things where it's just like you learn how to move stuff quickly. You, like instead of being that one guy that has like 120 orcs on the table and has to measure one each individually, it's kind of like that thing where it's like move the front row up, move the back row up, and you just put everybody in between. Or you just be like, okay, I got my general movement. Like El Sergeant here has moved up. Now I gotta move everybody up behind him because I played Planes of War, where 7th edition arguably was like the most intensive in terms of rules and people not getting through games. And I was playing guard, and I got to every one of my games. Every single one of them.
Well, not all of us can be superheroes, Brendan.
You know what, guys? Be more like me. You won't have any problems with games.
So, I don't know. I think...
Just avoid playing Menchels.
I think...
Remember that from the car ride. Anyway.
Inside jokes.
There was a lot from the car ride.
Oh, God.
Brendan is a teacher. Anyway, I'm not going to... we'll talk about it after.
Don't talk about anything that could lose me my career. That's right. Okay.
And then the last point that I actually just saw
He's
and
illiterate.
I was reading
He's
on the 3++ site. Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just messing with you guys. So there's the debate on missions. Do we prefer the quote boring and balanced or exciting and potentially unbalanced missions?
Boring and balanced, man. If time's a problem, you got to go with boring and balanced. You can't have shit where everyone's like, what do we do? And they spend 15 minutes reading.
You can't have missions where it's like 3 pages long with like secondary and tertiary objectives. And then it's like, okay, let's get rolling. And you always have to reference, okay, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's going to be like these weird predicaments. Like I got to say, Twin Eagles.
Responding to these people? Like,
We had a doubles tournament here, and they were trying out new rules, and they had this tank mission, but they counted everything as enemy units. So these tanks were in the middle of the board, and it's like characters just walk through like the field of tanks and not get targeted. And it was just like, ooh.
Yeah, that was an oversight.
But Twin Eagles is just a more for funsy thing that you go for on a Saturday. I mean, these big high end, you're going for the big one, these tournaments. I mean, you need to have consistent where everybody has an equal playing field. And I gotta say, these new ITC missions are really fun, and they can really change depending on your opponent's army. You can always achieve something. I've played a couple of them; they're a lot of fun.
No.
I agree. Yeah.
I've had no issue with them, and then it's the secondaries are nice when you can. Is it secondary or tertiaries that you can choose which ones work?
Like you got a horde.
You can like, evaluate your opponent.
I can only kill tanks.
Yeah. Yeah, you actually can evaluate what you're up against, and take the ones that you think you have the best chance at getting rid of.
Yeah, because that's edition, and we used to roll like kill points, and your opponent's army is like all hiding, or it's all like
we can't see the Twitch chat.
Invincible. So, it's just like,
I don't know if they're talking about something that
what am I supposed
we can
to
bring
do?
up or what, but
so.
Yeah, it looks like it would be faster, but we bumped tournaments 1750 to 2000 or 1850 rather. Yeah, I totally agree. Who is that?
I don't know.
Negoland?
Shout out to Negoland.
I actually think
that's one less than us.
I know. Well, and like if you go into 1750, that's not even a land raider anymore. That's like
oh, man, that was one thing I was like so pumped about this edition when I saw Land Raiders. Like, fuck yes, the Land Raiders are back. I mean, fuck yes, the Land Raiders are back.
You've already said it. We're live. Don't even worry.
And I was like so pumped, and then you find out they're still overcosted. And you're like, oh no, I was so excited with these things.
We're getting close to the bottom of the show, so we should probably talk about the tournament we played.
We're going to be going long tonight. Don't worry, Dan.
We're going all the way, guys.
No, we're not going too much
long. The wife after work. So.
That's okay. We don't need to.
Yeah, we didn't go too long.
So, hang on. What was that? What was that comment about? It was at 1850. I can't, guys. Like
said movement trays. That's the one I just read out.
Negoland. So you guys are doing that, and how are you finding it? Like, give us.
He said it would be faster.
It would be faster.
Attorneys from 1750 to 2000. Then he corrected himself. 1850, and then he said movement trays.
Maybe we should all just play custody armies.
Yeah,
yes.
26
games
models
will be done like that. It would be nice.
The Winnipeg Custodes tournament.
Yeah.
For all the narcs who actually bought these.
And if anybody else, if you bring anything else, you get fired. You don't get to play.
Fired up, more like.
Oh, Steve says you can say fuck on stream.
Thanks, Steve.
Steve also wanted to know what was with Brendan's Hitler Youth haircut. That's what he said. It was in the chat.
We're just going to move on.
Anyway. So we're going to go on to some more local stuff now.
And the viewer-based jobs.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is Brandon. So Brandon.
Not Brendan.
Not Brendan. Fuck that guy.
We can talk about me.
Nah. He didn't.
Let's do that.
Nah.
Brendan, favorite color, real quick.
Black.
If you had to pick one.
Eee, dark.
I'm a happy
What
guy,
are you
though.
doing after this?
So, last Saturday, the three of us, plus Kyle,
Yeah.
plus producer Josh, plus his partner Michael, plus Logan, and plus James and Noah, all from Winnipeg, all went out to go support the Brandon doubles tournament. And
We almost missed out on Kyle.
oh yeah, Kyle, the
was
guy
too
that wanted
busy
to go.
sleeping?
Yeah, Kyle decided to sleep in on us. Typical.
So here's Fabio and I revving the engine of his car outside Brandon's house at 7 a.m. Sorry, not outside Brandon's house, on the opposite side of
They
had
were
the wrong
across the
address.
street,
Sitting
and
there
I
and,
was
like-
outside shoveling snow, and I see this Mustang across the street, or like whatever,
Camaro.
It's a
Camaro.
Camaro.
I
Jesus
was like,
with exhaust.
anyways,
it was
I saw
loud.
this vehicle just revving engines. I'm like, is that Fabio's?
It only has
There's
one
no
engine.
way.
It's singular.
There's no way that's Fabio's car over there. Like I told him,
Open it,
15 Whitting Gate. I'm
Yeah,
the
we were at
only
14,
guy
across the
outside that is like shoveling snow at
We thought he was
7
an
in the
old
morning.
dad
Well,
smoker.
yeah, so this is the best. So Fabio goes, "Oh, look at this guy shoveling snow at 7 in the morning," and then,
But like an
and then-
idiot and inefficiently.
Yeah, it was windy, so he would shovel,
very efficient.
release, and then it would blow
So then
back.
Dan-
staying
So
on the
I
pile.
was like, "Oh, for sure, I got this called." Or like, I pegged this guy. He's a dad with kids who smokes, and he got up, and the kids are awake, and it's Saturday, and he just wants to get out of the house and smoke away from his children. And then we're sitting there, and then Fabio's like, "Where is everyone?" And then in the chat, Brendan's like, "Oh, just show up, guys. I'm outside shoveling right now." And then
Yeah,
we look, and
because
he
I
is
look
the
across
only
the street
person
at these
shoveling.
two guys,
So we look
and
at
I'm
our-
like, should I wave to them? Should I not? Like, I'm like, what
been
if it's
sitting
they're
there
not
just being like,
Fabio and Dan? I'm just gonna look like some weirdo that's waving. So, anyways, I go in, like, I'm like, I could go check my phone inside. So I go inside, and sure enough, they're like, "Oh, Brendan's still sleeping." I'm like, "No, I'm actually outside shoveling the snow." So they figured it out,
Oh,
and
so
they
fun.
did a donut or like a Fast and Furious around to
Yeah,
Papa
well, we got there at
Yui, and they came in the
6:45
slot.
at first.
Yeah, we got there at
Did some
6:45.
donuts,
We
and then
parked out
went to
front,
get coffee.
and then we went to get coffee. So in order to do that, I had to literally burn rubber and make as much noise as possible.
had to. You had
and I had
to.
then I had to like drift around a corner at a red light that was definitely legal to get coffee or tea for Dan because he's a princess, and then
Whose is this?
Brendan's. And then
Drinking a
and then we
$1
came
can
back,
over here.
and then we were literally sitting outside the wrong house and revving my engine for a good solid 20 minutes or so. And
Wow, that was really over dramatized.
yeah,
was
well,
like
no,
couple
no,
minutes.
it was definitely longer.
20
It was
minutes.
we were out there for quite a while.
It was me.
I knew it, Steve, that shyster.
So, anyways,
anyway,
we're
so
making
back
our way
yeah,
down.
So
So we're
Brandon.
making our way down, and the back of my windows in my truck are starting to fog up.
Frost,
And these,
frost,
yeah,
actually.
frost up. Thank you.
Don't get it twisted.
And these two thought it'd be really funny to draw like dicks and poo on my
No,
stuff.
no, okay. So to be
Wait,
clear,
yeah, let's get this right.
Fabio wrote
I don't.
anal,
Yeah.
and then
With a little heart.
I wrote poo with an arrow pointing to what looked like a poop.
But I did it so that everyone driving by
Yeah,
would be
so
able
you
to read it
read it.
properly.
mirrored the text
Yeah.
properly.
Yeah.
So that when
Like
a
a
car
fox.
would pass, they'd
Like
be like,
a
"Oh,
fox."
there goes the anal truck."
But Brandon was driving so slow. It wouldn't have happened if he was driving faster than everybody.
Wouldn't have happened. He wouldn't have been driving so slow if he hadn't had anal so recently.
Well, that got.
Driving
Anyway,
slow
so
because
back
it had
to-
just snowed the day before.
So back to Brandon. Yeah, so the event itself. So it was 3 games. It was doubles. Dan and I partnered up. I know I'm so lucky. So he played the Hammer Time Blood Angels, and
Just the
I backed
guns.
him up with a shitload of Necron Warriors. Index for the win. Represent. Anyway.
Actually, those warriors put in serious work against a couple of our opponents. Like when you teleported to finish off the Wolfen, that
Yeah.
was huge. I had the Wolfen would have given me a very hard time on my own.
Well, that's why it's doubles.
Backing
hard
me
time.
up,
Just
backing
like
me
you
up.
Yeah, and then I had, so I took a bunch of warriors. I took some scarabs to grab some objectives
Goss
and
is
stuff.
also wicked with its
With
minus
-1.
one.
I
Yeah.
still
Imagine
hope
when
that
they get a
stays.
codex.
Oh,
It
no,
definitely will
it's gonna
stay.
be-
It's
Oh,
trying
I
to
don't know.
represent
I
the
don't know.
power of the
Creepy
technology.
lightning everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and then Brendan went with Kyle.
Ugh.
Oh,
I just did that guy a favor to pair up with him.
Christ.
Do you know how bad I feel each time he brings up he's always like, hey, doubles turn it up, let's partner up. But he's like that weird kid at school that he wants to be your friend, but you don't really want to talk to him. But your mom tells you that if you do it, you'll go to Disneyland. That's what it was like for me.
Podcast.
So I was like, okay, we'll go, Kyle. And of course I had to carry his sorry ass because he decided to bring his stupid Zinch Demons because he can't play anything else. And I mean, long story short, I did most of the work, just like when I partnered up with Derek. Like these partners.
Can we get a pulse there?
From now on, I'm just going to bring a 2,000 list, a 2,000-point list. With
we dropped the lulls in the chat.
$1 something, and then I'm just going to play and say that's my partner. That way I don't feel like I'm being right down. Oh shit, is Kyle calling us? Well.
No.
That would be hilarious. So anyway, the meta even in Brandon from Winnipeg is light years different. Dan and I, our 3 games, our first game was 5 Russes and Space Wolves. Our second game was 5 Russes and Space Wolves. And our third game, lucky us, 10 fucking Russes.
I said when we got there, I was like, holy crap, all the guard players are in Brandon,
5
and
Russes.
They all brought out Russes.
So I think, honestly, over the whole day, I think there was maybe 40, 45 Russes floating around the whole event.
Oh, yeah,
so if you didn't play a game with 3 Russes,
I got to correct. Yeah, you didn't say 20 Russes, did you? Because there was one opponent we played against who had 3, and then 2, he had a Hellhound and a Bazzy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, that's
17.
right. I stand
Still,
corrected.
more
I played
Russes than you would want
17.
to play at a tournament.
Yeah,
we played against a lot of Lehman Russes.
Kyle and I,
it was crazy.
All jokes aside, Kyle brought his demons, because that's all he has, and I brought my guard. And we played Nids, and actually Pure Homer and his buddy, they brought a Pure Nid list, which was really sweet. We played him, and we actually played Fabio and Dan's first round.
Double J.
The Wolfen, the Space Wolves, and Guard tanks. And then our last game was against the tournament organizers who brought Admech and Necrons. So it was like we got
Admech and Necrons.
Yeah, both technology. But
earthquake! What are we in Hawaii or something? Oh, too soon.
But I gotta say, like,
no, wait, that was an earthquake at all.
Holy crap!
Yeah, there's a lot of Russes.
It was ridiculous. Like my pass in our second game, my pass killed his pass. So it's just like.
The event was it Swiss?
I don't know because Dan and Fabio told Kyle and I that they played the Space Wolf and Imperial Guard player in the first game and they won 16 to something, and Kyle and I, our first game we won 16 to whatever. So we paired up with these guys, and I was just like, oh, I thought these guys had lost against Fabio and Dan.
I'm a little conflicted. I'm hearing it was Swiss, but. That's not how Swiss works. So
no, I remember at the event because when we were waiting for our final pairing, I said, "Who is it likely we're playing against? Probably the 10 Russes because we'd won both our games." And then someone said, "No, the pairings are random." And then a couple more guys were like, "Pairings are random." And then I think I remember Corey saying they were random because, to be honest, the people we ended up playing against at the end had been paired against people they'd already played for that round.
Well, that can happen in Swiss, but it's super unlikely.
But
especially with like a smaller player pool.
Like Kyle and I, we did really well our first 2 games. I don't know if the tournament organizers had like great wins for their first 2, but I heard Jason and his partner were like 17 like max points both of his games.
All 3 games.
So I was like, should we not have played those 2 as like the big tiebreaker, or maybe the Lehman Russ list?
Didn't seem it seemed like a little off. I don't know.
Yeah,
but whatever. I need to say the event was good. The missions were a little wonky. I think like being able to pick your deployment. I don't know. It's just the way.
Apparently, some of them had picking deployment, like it was like you straight up picked it out of the rulebook, and other ones said roll like you would in the Warhammer 40,000 rulebook.
Confused because it said that the player who deploys last determines.
But it says in the rulebook, if you like check Warhammer 40,000 rulebook, and in the rulebook it has this one section for deployment where it says you randomly, if you're playing match play, which at a tournament is what everyone plays. You randomly roll for the deployment zones. So the people should have been rolling, unless the mission specifically said you choose from the rulebook. Like you straight up pick. When it says determined from the rulebook, then there's that one section. Like that's all games of 40K are played. If you're playing match play, you randomly roll from inside the book.
Determined to mean select when it should be determined by a random.
Yeah, there's a lot of little finicky things, I think. But overall, I think the event was good. It was a long-ass day.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, when you're starting at 10, you have 3 games, hour and a half for lunch, which actually was a nice amount of time, I've got to be honest. Prizes were great. Everything was more or less on schedule, which was nice.
Yep. It's kind of hard when you're running the tournament and also participating to keep
that's got to
track.
be the worst. I think I even mentioned that in the little post. Corey, big shout out. I don't know if you're in the chat or if anybody's from Brandon in the chat, but trying to run an event and try and have to fill a spot is brutal, especially those 2 back-to-back games. Trying to figure out pairings and do all that crap. That's
it's mentally exhausting.
Yeah, it was winner versus winner, loser versus loser.
So
No,
from the
but
previous
Jason,
match?
that wouldn't make sense because
because
they
Kyle and I should not have played the Space Wolf and
'Cause they
Imperial Guard
lost
play
to-
because they lost to Kyle and Fabio
in the first round. So I
Dan
don't know if
Fabio.
that.
I mean, like,
Whatever, it is what it is.
it's
Doesn't
just-
matter.
it's
We're
just
just
like-
I'm
we're
just
just
hearing
talking.
a lot of different conflicting things. So I'm just trying to get.
You know what? Like at the end of the day, I love going to Brandon because it's a crew of 40K players you don't interact with regularly,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
likely going to be playing not your friends. 'Cause
Which
I
was
think
so
they-
nice. We didn't actually. We were fortunate. We didn't have to play any of the guys we went out with.
We're just so used to playing each
Yeah.
other that it becomes
it gets to the point
tedious.
where you know exactly
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
your buddy's gonna do because you've played against him enough times.
I also like going out there showing off the paint. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
You
so
may
let's-
or may not have done well. In
Yeah,
that
let's.
category.
Dan and I
Even though you're
managed
just
to
spray painting the 3-color minimum.
listen. Listen, guy.
Let them know.
He also
You
spray.
already have it.
He also spray paints. You also spray paint Brendan's army. So I mean,
Also
I
spray
don't
paint
know.
tanks. Yeah,
Actually,
Yeah,
Fabio,
you know, no
don't
big deal.
discredit
No
yourself.
big
So do you.
Imperial
Yeah, I'd
Guard.
spray paint some of your tanks too. That's right. Yep.
They're making it sound
I-
so
there, I
bad.
said
I
it. I said
compensated
it.
them for that non-sexual though. Before people jump on
Denial.
top
That's
of
how I like it.
that. Non-sexual interactions. Like gift
Just
cards
say
to
no.
DLC.
Yeah, I always have a good time out there. I
that's
like
right,
to drive
that's
back afterward.
Yeah, the drive back
Sleep
was
at home
chill.
is
It was
nice.
good.
We ate some Wendy's.
Oh
Oh
god,
my
the
gosh,
Wendy's was
like received medium well, I would say.
no,
Not the
awful.
cooking style.
Absolutely
Well, like around 8:30 at night.
It was a pretty shaky
So
lady
let-
taking her
So,
orders.
so first off, big congratulations to Jason and Eric. Although I think you guys didn't have to play any of the big tough lists. But no, just kidding. They won best overall.
Kidding, not kidding.
Congratulations, guys. So Dan and I actually ended up placing second with Team U Mad Bro. Third was TOs Are Us. That was Corey and his the tournament organizer and Patrick. And then fourth was Just As Planned. That was Kyle and Brendan. And closing up the top 5 was Off in a Corner.
Yeah, that was the restless.
Was Jeff and Mark. Yeah, that was the 10
They
Russes.
also
Let me tell you,
won
that was nails.
Best general though.
Best general, yeah. So that was the top 5. Then shout out to non-canon non-canons, which was Josh and Michael, producer Josh and his buddy Michael. So Michael, that was his first tournament ever. And Josh, as most of you know, is our producer. He's just getting into the game. Placing 7th out of 18 teams.
Well done, fellas.
Well done, guys.
Proud of you, producer Josh.
Big thumbs up to you guys. We had
Wait, does that mean-
team 12 coming in 12th was Team 1000 Tau. So that was a guy from I can't remember where the little bump. Yeah, what was Clancy? Where is he from? That little town?
He's from North Kiltown.
No, anyway, so there's a town that apparently exists. I don't believe it. That's where he's from, but Logan's from Winnipeg.
Groundskeeper Willie.
So that was all right. And then 13th was Sexy Tau and Shooting Slanesh.
Oh, those are the
And
guys
that was
from North Kiltown.
and that was James and Noah, also from Winnipeg. They actually thought that was the 40BX that they're registering for. Come to find out, they were going to Brandon. So that was really funny. So hey, you know what? It was
Cool.
okay. They got to go out and get a few test games, practice
Which
games
guys
in.
were they?
Which
I
guy
don't
was-
remember them.
Which guy was the Slanesh player? Do you guys know? Because I don't know if he's in the chat right now.
He was
I wanna say,
he's the bald guy. He was the bald guy. And
I
Noah
wanna
was the
know,
guy with hair and glasses.
I really like the
from
Slanesh
North
army.
Kiltown.
It looked really nice.
So that was them. In other news, Age of Sigmar, our league is starting March 6th. We actually have already 16 players signed up. We were expecting maybe 10, 12.
Yep.
So we're already at 16, and we have opened and allowed for 24 players. So guys,
Wow.
if you are interested, get on the site, buy your ticket. It's only
Get off your
$10.
computer, wrap your dick up, and get out there and register
Wait,
for.
but
I
you
think
have to
if there's
go
any-
on your computer
if there's
to
anything-
register. So
if there's
exit
anything
off
that-
use your
Pornhub.
phone. Use your phone.
dual task,
Switch it up.
multitask. Yeah,
Switch
switch
I
it
mean,
up.
still do the wrap.
Get those arm
Wrap
curls
it up.
with the
Wrap
phone.
it up. Get the phone in your face.
Yeah. There's also the 40.
the phone.
There's also the 40. So yeah, get on that. That's just a local league. So if you're interested and you haven't signed up yet, get it
And
done.
are we all participating in that league?
No.
Dan doesn't play AOS.
I am
No,
actually
AOS is,
participating.
You're buying Chaos Dwarves again.
Why did you
Sold
say
them
that on
to
stream?
buy.
God damn it! It was
Yeah,
supposed to be a
you're
surprise.
right.
You are a fucking
Oh, man.
sponge,
What are
man.
we gonna do now, Fabio?
Well, I'm gonna find a new army,
We're gonna-
obviously. Fuck that. Selling
Everyone
Chaos
will be
Dwarves
ready
again.
to beat you now.
Son of a bitch. God, I just wanted to be a nice little surprise, you know?
For who? Who's
Well,
gonna be
one,
like,
me showing up to an Age of Sigmar game, and two, for my opponent, you wanker.
You're
Anyway,
talking about it on the chat.
meant
I haven't
Iron
said
Jaws.
shit about what I'm
meant
playing.
Iron
I've for
Jaws.
sure seen Chaos Dwarves.
well, that's
in chat.
because John Plouffe plays Chaos Dwarves, and he's been posting about it if you actually read it. I'm just kidding, guys. It's all good. Whatever.
So
no,
sorry.
go fuck yourself,
I'm
Brendan.
John.
Brendan, can we edit this? I'm just kidding. Anyway, no, it's all good. So anyway, next
So
up.
wrap your
I think
dick
you got,
up
oh, God.
and-
I don't
I
think
think
I'm
if,
gonna be here
if there's anything
anymore.
that's so consistent is Dan and bringing up penises. Like,
Oh
I
my
don't know.
God, our
I don't
whole
know.
brand
Did not
trip.
say that word.
Next time, I'm in a
you.
vehicle with Dan, and we're going down
Whip
to any
your dick out,
tournament.
right? Yeah, okay.
I am going to bring a little tally sheet and keep track of how many times this guy brings up cocks and dicks.
Hey, you know the Death Guard have a tallyman.
I'll be that guy.
there you
When I'm famous,
What
I'm
have I
gonna be-
done?
I was gonna keep
What have I
track.
done?
Keeps a tally for all the
Anyway.
tallywhackers I mentioned.
So you guys, and then we got the 40BX on the 25th of March. Are you guys playing?
Yes.
Yes.
Who's
Warhammer.
your partner?
4000. I'm playing with Martin.
Martin.
Martin and Dan are coming again.
Playing with that weird kid I talked about
You
earlier.
just that time like you're playing with him. Awesome. Okay.
My mom told me she'd take me to Disneyland if I did.
Okay, and yeah, and so the 40BXs are one of
She's
our
really
bigger
invested in
events that
Kyle.
that actually has a lot of different events in it.
She just wants him to have fun.
So we actually have Infinity, and for those who don't know, it's 40K doubles, Blood Bowl, and Infinity. So Blood Bowl is about 50% sold, and
Nice.
and the traction on Blood Bowl's kind of getting rolling. Got a few signed up, so don't wait because we have to buy trophies and plaques and all that good stuff. So we would hate to have to shut down those events and open up more tables for other events. So if you know guys that want to play, definitely jump on that right away. Please, it's all on the 40 Below Gaming website.
Beautiful website, by the way. The
It's a
guys
work in progress,
just,
but we're getting it done.
Was it the beginning of this month that you guys?
Oh, Fabio, you're so
executed
modest.
it?
I try. No, yeah, close to the beginning of this month. We dropped it like January 10th or something like
It's
that.
looking pretty solid. You enter it. They have that Dawn of War 2 opening with that the Blood Ravens.
Don't
versus
give
the
it all away
Eldar.
again. God, this guy's just like, you probably talk about the endings of movies with everyone. Hey, did you watch that movie? Yeah, this is what happened.
I believe you said movings.
They could just go check it out. My God,
Yes, yes, they could. They could go, you should go check it out for yourself.
I'm trying to incite them to go check it out because that's a beautiful
They're
cinematic.
not gonna go check it out and look at it if you already tell them what it is, Brendan.
Oh man, I saw this crazy. You guys were talking about clips. I saw this crazy clip from this.
don't think Fabio
this
and I are
Tom
friends
Hanks
anymore.
movie. He plays this guy who works for FedEx.
Oh my
and
God,
the plane
Tom
ends up
Hanks
going
again.
down over the ocean.
God damn it.
You guys seen this? You heard of this?
So what happens?
think it's
So
called Survivor, man.
let's drop Hidden City on here, guys. Are you guys going on Friday?
I actually
Yeah,
might for
yeah,
the
I'm playing
first
a
time in
game.
ages.
So basically, guys, Hidden
Really? I
City,
playing against
Hidden
Cool
City
Mike,
Comics is our title sponsor for
Dan,
the
I said I'd have a game
2018
with you.
year.
What the hell?
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
On
man,
the
it's
chat,
not
you're like,
too
who
late.
wants the game?
Nailed
I'm up
it.
for one,
I
Dan.
didn't even see
totally
that.
ignores me. Oh, God. These guys.
Get Brendan to play Kyle. He'll love it.
Oh, my
Anyway,
God.
anyway, so yeah, every Friday and Saturday, open gaming at Hidden City. So Friday is
God.
tomorrow. So if you are looking to play,
No.
look for a
Ooh,
game.
What's tomorrow?
Drop a message in the Winnipeg War
I
Council
thought tomorrow was
chat.
Thursday.
No, super
Today's
duper not. Today's Thursday, all day, for another 4 hours.
Like, where was I teaching today then?
Shit, I was late for work.
Yeah. So and also any models 40K or I should say Games Workshop or Infinity save the taxes. So
Hidden City
definitely,
Comics.
if you are looking for anything, anything new, anything old, it doesn't matter. It's all saving tax on everything.
Awesome parking
looking-
too, right in front
Yeah,
of the
great
store.
parking.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to going
Ample
back there
parking.
again. I haven't been there since, I think, the fall time.
Has anybody bought anything from the Cabinet of Shame?
No.
No. So guys,
I'm actually gonna buy
Wow, that was very,
some
I
don't know.
Bretonian stuff
so the
in there, but somebody got 'em.
the cabinet of shame, you can put your models in there, put a price on them, and basically when they get sold, you get 100% of the money in credit towards new product through Hidden City. He doesn't take a cut, nothing.
Can
you
I
just get to hold. Yeah. What?
Interject for a
Yeah,
second?
absolutely.
I think that's awesome because recently I've been selling and downsizing a lot of my Warhammer, and I've been posting on the Winnipeg War Council. But I also find when I post on like Kijiji, people
Kijiji.
reach out to me that I've never met before in the community, or maybe just play like with their buddies in basement, because not everybody's part of the buy and sell. So it would be the same thing for Hidden City. You know, you put your stuff in there, you don't know who's going to be walking by and be like, oh my god, these are really cool. I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind picking these up, maybe just to
And you
paint.
get a new gamer into the community.
Exactly.
Build that community, boys.
In the private 40K chat, John Plouffe has threatened Brendan Krusty, saying he slandered a Plouffe. It's on, little boy. And you
Tell
need to step
John-
up your
Oh,
game.
no.
RPC don't take kindly to
Tell
that
John
shit talking.
he can come talk to me when he actually beats me in a game of 40K.
Oh,
That's
boy.
right.
You heard it here first,
yeah.
folks.
That is...
That is
Woof.
live. That is live.
I think
Oh,
I'm just
man.
calling him
Everyone
out for a game.
John, you better show up tomorrow because
Dave.
Brendan has no one to play against.
Who's?
But, anyways, all
Okay,
joking aside,
good-
I'll definitely get a game in Plouf. I was just joking.
Complete
or
sentences,
Teasing
but
the
that's
annoying
okay.
Plouf.
Yeah, Dave Bex, what do you mean by losers? Let's get it out
We're
here.
talking about Brendan,
You call me a loser?
or what are we talking about?
Possible.
Or Jason. I mean, Jason Wells is known to be quite a loser, so. I
Where
just
is this going?
This is getting crazy.
Jason and I, Jason's trash talking was impeccable all the way down. The amount of tissue burns he tried to toss out at me was greater than one, and
I like that. Tissue burns.
it was. I don't even know what you call them. It was. I don't know. I'd put my head in the sand if I were
Are you
him.
trying to say he needs to work on
Yeah.
his
Yeah, his trash
game?
talking
His trash talk
needs a
game?
lot of work.
So we all gotta start
s-
somewhere.
yeah.
I'll have to start somewhere.
Yeah, I mean he's simple painting, but whatever, it's all good. You got to start somewhere. Did we put the picture up of Dan and I? You got it. Let's drop that quickly. And lastly, guys, open gaming. Oh, look at that! Look at those beauties.
Losers correcting Jason.
You know what that
he's
is, guys?
correcting Jason.
You know what?
He's
that
not
is,
calling
guys?
us losers. All right.
That's a new Facebook
Shout out to
profile
Dave
pic right
Bex.
there.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna burn that picture. But
I like that.
Look at that smile.
Check
Probably
out-
that's the biggest smile I've seen
check
on you.
out those shirts though. We played Blood Angels and Necrons, and I got shirts of us, you mad bro, our team name, and us bro fisting.
You know what
Yeah.
the best part is though? When you came back and somebody actually said, "Yeah, that's part of the background," and they actually fought together. You're like, "What, for real?" You thought it was just a joke. It actually happened. Oh,
No,
your
we don't fuck
response.
around. We don't fuck around. Oh, thanks, Dan.
Serious.
So yeah, and lastly, open gaming, PvP here, right here, February 6th.
2009. We'll see you there.
I need my DeLorean.
Why do we let this guy on the show? Honestly,
Most random
like,
comments.
I think it's not even
Open
comical
gaming.
anymore.
Make sure
Make on
you,
down,
Yeah,
guys.
so if you guys want to come down, it's table set up,
Yeah,
and get to play games. Where are we at? Where are we at?
Having
Hey,
fun.
you know, we're not too
Living
bad.
life
We're only
in the big
10 minutes
city.
over.
That's not
We're
bad.
doing
It's,
pretty
fun
good.
exercise.
I gotta say, I'm really looking forward to the AOS League.
I think it'll be fun.
I think it'll be fun.
I haven't been
gotta
able to
learn.
get a
Gotta
lot
learn.
of games. I haven't been able to get a lot of games in, but if you want to
who
get
are
more
these
AOS
guys?
in, I think this league is the thing for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Get some.
It is definitely going to be a lot of fun. I think I might be comfortably saying the only Bretonian player that will be playing.
Damn, wrong hands.
So
Good stuff. Yeah, well, who cares about Bretonians, am I right?
Bretonians can.
nobody cares, not even GW. But I
Bretonians,
care right
They're the
here.
biggest narc in all of the Warhammer world. I don't know what you call it in your fantasy game, but
Interesting.
what do you call the Earth
It's flat.
where they all fight in?
They don't even have an Earth.
Middle Earth. The middle.
That's
f-
Lord
tur-
of the Rings.
So
turns-
40K takes place on planets in the galaxy.
but not
AOS
Age of
takes
Sigmar
place
takes place in
in your
realms.
imagination.
There's like 9 different realms.
Just turn the middle side topwise. We'll be okay.
It's like World of
Anyway, guys,
Warcraft, garbage.
it's been a
Yeah.
blast. Matt and producer Josh, thank you guys so much for putting up with
blast.
us.
Thanks, guys.
Dan, I will never want to be on a stream with you ever again.
Hey,
Brendan,
man,
we're
we
not
won
friends.
best
I think we got a lot
games,
accomplished tonight, guys. So again, thanks for tuning
Thanks
in.
for tuning in.
Definitely,
Yeah, definitely.
God damn it, Dan.
Definitely make it down for PvP,
PvP,
guys, when you
Hidden
can.
City,
Hidden City
Sport
every
Local.
Friday.
Local.
Go on to the
Yeah, check
go
the-
onto
check
the
the-
website. Check out the AOS League. Check out the 40 Below Expo. You know, just get all that going because these two they're gone. So I gotta take over.
Check the website.
Keep it going. You're doing great.
Check
Keep
the
it up.
website.
tuned.
Do everything.
Like the Facebook
Just to
page.
reiterate, Fabio's playing Chaos Dwarves.
Like the buy sell.
Oh yeah, we got a buy and sell too. Don't forget about that one.
Oh yeah, check out the buy.
Oh yeah,
and
and we're on
sell.
Twitch. Check us out on Twitch, Instagram, the Tweeter. I don't. What is it?
You
Check
guys
us out
also
on
have
Twitter.
YouTube.
Yeah, we're on YouTube as well.
We're spreading out, guys.
We are fanning out. We are branching out
We're gonna
to
go
all
back
the
to
internet.
MSN Messenger.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna go back to communicating with rocks.
Smoke signals, man.
Smoke signals.
Anyway, guys, thanks a lot. I'm gonna drop our sign off. If you're not rolling ones, you are cheating.
If you're not,
Dan, fuck, man. God, this. No, it's all good. It's all good. All right, guys, take it easy. See you around.
it's your own funeral. I haven't showered.